Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Dabney. I have been with Algorithm for the past 3 years. I live in the beautiful state of Montana. Today, we're going to be discussing correction of purchase order receipts for dropship and normal type purchase orders. Please note the functionality I'm about to show you is unavailable if you are running manufacturing or service management. So let's go ahead and get this going. In earlier versions of Acumatica, for drop shipments, if you received something incorrectly, you were unable to correct it or make a change or even cancel that receipt if it had a released status. So now with this new version 2025 R1, you can correct and cancel a receipt if you've made a change, if you need a change to make. So now in this sales order, this is a dropship sales order. I've already set this up ahead of time so that you can see I've already linked my purchase order to your right. My dropship PO number is linked. By doing so, all I had to do is click on the mark for PO and change my PO source to dropship. Let's go ahead and take a look at my purchase order as well. And so this is my purchase order. If you go to the shipping tab, you'll see that it's has a shipping destination of going to the customer with the customer's address. And on the details, it'll also have my sales order linked, which is right about here. So my current status for that sales order is open. I haven't processed the receipt on this purchase order yet, as I want to show you how the status on the receiving changes per receipt. So I'll go ahead and process this receipt. Also take note that during to cancel or process a correction on a receipt, you can't have any open AR documents for this. You can have a reversed AR document, but not an open one. Also, you cannot add or delete a line on this receipt that you're going to cancel. Let's go ahead and release this original receipt. Oh, good. I've missed that vendor reference number, but we'll see if it gives me that error. All right, give it a second as it updates. But like I was saying, so if your receiving is constantly making receipts and they're making errors, you can make changes to that. So like on this one, for example, I received in 500. And I noticed on my packing slip, it should have been like 450 or maybe even 50. And my receiver, he received the wrong amount. I'm going to go ahead and go over to my more menu, the 3 dots up above. And I'm going to go ahead, and this is with the new added functionality that they just added. Under corrections, you now have the option of correct receipt or cancel receipt. So I'm going to go ahead and correct this drop shipment receipt. And what it actually did, if you don't know this, it created a new receiver. And that original receiver goes on like a correction hold. So let's change the quantity on this one, and I'll show you how those statuses change. Second, click on that receipt quantity. Let's go ahead and change it to 50. And I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm not going to release it yet, as I want to show you how that status changed. This one stays in a balanced state. And if we go back to the original receiver that I corrected and selected, it now shows a status of under correction. And I can go and select that receipt. You still have visibility of seeing everything that was on the original receiver. But now on this other tab, there's more information. It's now linking the new receipt that it created. So that's great. They'll always be tied to each other. You can always go back and see, well, what was the original receipt? What's the new receipt? And so on. So let's go ahead and go back to our purchase receipts. And we're going to go ahead and release that new receipt. All right, let's go ahead and release my changes. Give it a second, sorry. And then as so it's going and updating, obviously, the purchase order as well as the sales order that's linked to this drop shipment. So that's a great thing. You're keeping your inventory accurate. So any changes you made on the quantity, it'll go back and open up that quantity on the purchase order, and then it'll change the shipment quantity on your sales order. There's multiple things you can change on a correct shipment. You can change things like your unit of measure, your lot serial number, your transaction description, and so on. That's giving me a little second to release this, sorry. All right, there we go. All right, let's go back to the purchase receipts and take a look. And now you're going to see that once this displays, the statuses have changed. The original receipt that I corrected now shows a status of canceled, and my current receipt that I did update is now released. So if I go into my canceled receipt on that other tab, again, you'll see now it's linking it to the original one, just like I showed you earlier. But it also has this new header on the top. It says this current document has been corrected. So that's great. And then if you go back again, sorry, let me show you one more thing. I want to make sure you guys see this because I love this feature. On the original, on this new receipt that I just modified, there's a field all the way to the right and it's called corrected. And so what that tells you is that this receiver belongs to a previous one and it was corrected. So you can see this little corrected field here. So that's great. And now to correct a shipment, let's go ahead and go over to our purchase receipts. And we're going to go ahead and correct a shipment. Let's go back. That gives me my receivers. All right. So let's go ahead and correct the receipt. And we're going to go ahead and correct, let's see, receipt number. All right. We'll go ahead and do receipt number 2484. Let's find that on here. And it's a similar process of I'm sorry, canceling the receipt. It's a similar process of correcting the receipt. The only difference is when you cancel the receipt, it's canceling the entire receiver. So it's not just doing like a correction and leaving that receiver open or changing the status to balanced or anything. It's actually going to cancel that entire receipt. So let's go ahead and change this. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel receipt. Again, same process. It's going to ask you if you want to proceed, and we're going to say yes. And again, remember, you need to make sure that you have no open AR invoices and no open returns as well. So we're going to go ahead and wait for this to update, and it's canceled this. So by canceling this receipt, it also changed my sales order to show the shipments as open. It no longer has this shipment on there. It's canceled. You can now go ahead and re-receive that purchase order when it comes in and process the AP bill as normal. So let's go ahead and do one more. And now we're going to do one. And this is where the second functionality comes in. The first one was for drop ship sales order. The second one was actually for normal type purchase orders. So this is great. It's pretty much your everyday purchase order. You can go ahead and correct or cancel that. So we're going to go ahead and start with a correction of a normal purchase order. And we're going to do receiver 2485. That load for a second. And you can see I have multiple lines on here. And yes, it's a PO order type of normal. So if I wanted to, I'm going to go ahead and hit correct. I'm going to correct the receipt. And my receiver, when he processed this one, what he did was he accidentally added an additional line. So when you're correcting and canceling receivers, you cannot delete a line. However, you can, if you want to kind of remove it, a way to remove it is you would just change the quantity to 0. And then make your changes as normal. I like to put notes and things like that, but we'll forgo this for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to update and release this one. Okay, let's let that update the system. Remember, it's updating the purchase order with the new quantities and opening up that line so that when it does come in, it can be received. And I think this is a great functionality for purchasing to keep your records accurate. You can always go in, like I said, you can update costs. You can update your description, your quantities. You need a measure. So there's a lot of things you can update with this correction, whereas before you could not correct. Like I said, you had to go in and do either a debit memo or do a return to process that correction. So let's go ahead. Sorry, this has multiple lines, so it may be a little minute. Right. And it's the same thing. If I were to go back and look at my purchase order receipts, that's okay. There we go. It updated. Let's go back and look at our purchase order receipts. I could also see the process, the change that I just requested. I can go ahead and take a look at another receipt, and I can do the same thing and do a cancellation on a normal type as well if we wanted to. So we can go ahead and look at another one, and I can do the cancellation on that one. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And it's the exact same process as canceling or correcting a drop ship. So I could go in and take a look at this, and again, your 3 more menu, and go ahead and hit cancel receipt. So we could do that, but I'm going to go ahead and show you another place where this change functionality comes in place. If you were to go to your purchases module and go over to your reports, you can do the purchase receipt summary. And in the purchase receipt summary, it's going to show you now all those corrections and cancellations that are out there. Even if you haven't released the correction, it'll show it as corrected. If you've already released it, it'll show it as a canceled status. So let's go ahead and make sure that you select this little button right here, which says include canceled and under corrected correction receipts, and run the report. And then as you can see, let me go and try and zoom it up a little bit. You'll see your canceled receipts here. And so that helps, your receiving manager, your operations manager kind of keep track of what's going on and question the inventory, make sure everything's good. And it keeps your inventory accurate, which I really love. So back to presentation. So that was a good presentation. I love the fact that you can modify corrections and cancellations of purchase receipts. It wasn't an option before. I'm a big fan of purchasing, so I love that they've done that. I look forward to them being able to do that in manufacturing, but for now, like I said, if you have the manufacturing or the service module enabled, you can't use this feature for now. So I appreciate everybody's time.